Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video on Petrarchan Sonnets. We're here on this same beautiful rainy day. I still have Braden with me helping me out. So now these Petrarchan Sonnets have a very specific scheme. If you're not sure what scheme is, hop on over to check out some of those other videos when we talk about rhyme scheme and repetitive sound patterns. So what makes a Petrarchan sonnet is a very specific rhyme scheme. So if we look at the very first part, we have two quatrains, which are 4 lines put together that make an octave. So 4 and 4 make 8. The Petrarchan sonnet has an ABBA rhyme scheme. So we see our two groupings of 4 lines that make our octave. After that octave, we have our volta, which is that intellectual shift before we have our solution or resolution. And in a Petrarchan sonnet, our resolution is done in 2 tercets, which is a group of 3 lines, and those 3 lines come together to make a sestet. The rhyme scheme here is either CDC, CDC, or CDE, CDE. So this is the basic structure of what we see in a Petrarchan sonnet. However, we do see playwrights who really play with those different ideas. So let's check out a Petrarchan sonnet. Unfortunately, we will not be looking at a sonnet written by Francesco Petrarch because of the Italian translation into English doesn't really line up in terms of that rhyme scheme, and our rain is getting heavier and heavier, which fits really well with the mood of London 1802 by William Wordsworth. So if we look at his rhyme scheme, it's ABBA, which is hour, fen, pen, and bower, which we do see. But he gets a little weak with his rhyme scheme and his 2 tercets here at the bottom. So if we look at that, we see a part C free, so we don't see that CDC or CDE, but we do see way, heart, and lay, which is CDC. So he doesn't quite nail that Petrarchan scheme, but he gets pretty close. So let's see what he says. Milton, thou shouldst be living at this hour. England hath need of thee, she is in 10. Of stagnant water, altar, sword, and pen. Fireside, the heroic wealth of hall and bower have forfeited their ancient English dower of inward happiness. We are selfish men. O rise us up, return to us again, and give us manners, virtue, freedom, power. Thy soul was like a star, and dwelt apart. Thou hast a voice whose sound was like the sea, pure as the naked heavens, majestic, free. So didst thou travel on life's common way, in cheerful godliness, and yet thy heart the lowliest duty on herself did lay. So we see here in this part, in this octave, where the problem is what's going on in England and England's need for Milton to return, the strong poetic voice of Milton. And then we come to this kind of resolution, which is what Milton did. So it's no longer what's wrong with England, and then the resolution is Milton's literary accomplishments. So that's kind of an interesting deviation, because essentially the sonnets were really love poems. But these Petrarchan sonnets that I've chosen for you are not really in that convention. So we'll start to see those heavier love lines in Shakespeare's pieces. But let's check out what John Milton has written about. So this one is called On His Blindness. And once again, we look at the ABBA rhyme scheme, spent, wide, hide, bent. So we do see that ABBA rhyme scheme, but he uses a CDE rhyme scheme on his tercets, need, best, state, speed, rest, wait. So we do see that really consistent use of the Petrarchan rhyme scheme all the way through this piece. So let's check out what John Milton says. When I consider how my life is spent, ere half my days in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide, lodged with me useless, though my soul more bent, to serve therewith my Maker and present my true accountless he returning chide, doth God exact day labor light deny? I fondly ask but patience to prevent, that murmur soon replied, God doth not need either man's work or his gifts and best, bear his mild joke, they serve him best, his state is kingly. Thousands at his bidding speed in hosts o'er land and ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait. So we see the problem is as John Milton's eyes are failing and he's kind of wrestling with that issue, and then we see the resolution, which is the way what God needs from Milton as opposed to what Milton needs to do for God. So it's kind of a shift in the way he's dealing with this. So it's not the neat and tidy thing that we expected. So, but these are kind of regular ones. Now, things are different when we look at Dante, because Dante had his own variation, but he doesn't follow any of those basic sonnet rules of the 14 line, but he does have the problem, volta, and resolution. But you can see here it's clearly not 14 lines. So if we look at what he does, he actually has two sets. Actually, these are closer to tercets, where it's going to be 4 tercets that make a dodectet. A dodectet is nothing more than 12 lines. It's also a musical term, and that musical term is an ensemble with 12 different pieces. So that's a word that actually exists in both literature and in music. So we look at his rhyme scheme, which is AAB, AAB, which carries all the way through those tercets. And then we look at his 2 quatrains which form an octave in the solution, and then CDDC, CDDC. So here's where we're really going to see the difficulty in rhyming in other languages, which is why you're really not going to see a lot of sonnets that have been translated from either Italian or French or Spanish, or even some of those other groups or other language groups who have played with the sonnets. We're really not going to see a lot of things out of their tradition simply because it doesn't translate well. So we do see his rhyme scheme of AAB in the tercets. So we see that carry all the way through, but then when we look at it in English, we see that it doesn't work because it's, instead of being passate, guardate, grave, it's past, watch, and grave. So we really see that it kind of falls apart because of the translation, but it's all still there. So a lot of times when you're reading sonnets in English that have been translated, to really get the effect of their rhyme scheme or their prosody, we need to go back to the original language. That's all we have right now for Petrarchan Sonnets on this wonderful rainy day. Thanks for checking us out, and our next video will be on English, Shakespearean, or Elizabethan sonnet. This is a sonnet tradition that you're probably going to be more comfortable with. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.